Lee from coloringqueen.net, and today I want to show you the Koh-i-noor Progresso Woodless Coloured Pencils. These are a Czech brand. You can get them in packs of 24, 12 and 6. I've got the 24 pack here. Sometimes the names change between packaging and the numbers change. You can also buy gold and silver as open stock in a 2-pack. Now what makes these pencils different is that they are woodless, meaning they don't have a barrel. Or a barrel casing, I should say. Now, I've had these pencils for many years now. I bought them in Australia. Koh-i-noor are freely available in Australia. I bought them here. They just come in a cardboard package. Very easy, simple. And I've moved with them. I've moved them around many a times, and they've been perfectly fine in the 3 or 4 years that I've actually had them. And yes, I have used them, but it doesn't actually look like it because they are woodless. They seem to last extremely well in my experience with them. I guess that these are classed as student grade, but they've got a quality that makes them sort of artist grade, and that is that they have a light fast rating. Now, on the actual pencil, which you can see here, you've got the brand name over here and the colour. And as I said, these numbers here can change depending on when the set was made. But just underneath you have stars, and it's out of 5 stars, so 5 being the highest light rating, 1 being the lowest rating. So each pencil actually has a light fast rating on it. And you can see there that I've used these. In fact, I've just swatched with them all, but I've used them over the years, and they still look like they've just come out of the box. Now, because they're woodless, this means that the whole of the pencil, including the end cap, the barrel, the tip, everything is all pigment. And so you don't get like a layer of pigment on your hands when you're using them. They have a lacquer coating on them that's very thin, but the whole of that is pure pigment. So that's the dark yellow. It's got a light fast of 3 on it. We'll just have a look at the light fast rating randomly on a few of them. On the meadow green, it's got a 5-star light rating, being the highest light rating. Now, they contain wax and binders and clays inside them in the ingredients. They're not water soluble, so I would class them as oil-based. You cannot get them open stock except for those gold and silver ones. And you sharpen them just like you would sharpen a normal pencil. So I'm going to sharpen that green that looks a little bit light on. And I've just got my M&R pencil sharpener here. And see all those delicious shavings? You can use them like when I was a kid, we used to smudge those around on bits of paper because they're all pure pigment. So there we go. No waste and quick and easy background effects with your pencil shavings. And now I'm going to have a lovely green finger. But very easy to sharpen with any pencil sharpener that you might want to use. There's a nice range of colours in the 24 set. But personally, I wish that there was more colours, particularly more browns and greens, and maybe a few more purples and pinks, and maybe a cream. You know, actually just give me more of everything. But there's only 24 in the set. Now, let's just give it a test for erasing. So I've just got those shavings there, and we'll put a little bit of blue on here as well. And see how easy it erases with my Derwent. And it's just going straight through. Very easy to get that colour off. I've just got a little Staedtler eraser here. Not as good as the Derwent, but still pretty good. So you can see how well it erased there. So the violets and the pinks and the reds seem to have the lowest light fast rating, whereas the browns and the oranges and some of those greens seem to have the highest light fast rating. So if light fast is important to you, if you want to sell your works, so for example this violet's only got 2 light fast stars, and this lilac has only got 2 as well. Your sapphire blue has 5 stars. So I will put all the light fast ratings on the swatch sheet that I'm doing. So let's swatch out the colours, and at the end of the video I'll put in all of the light fast ratings for each of those colours so that we can have a look at them. A lot of the names have changed on these pencils, so you might have a set that's got different naming terminology on it. And the gold and silver pencils for Koh-i-noor for the Woodless brand are sold separately. So I'll just swatch out all 24 of these pencils, and then I'll write in the light fast rating for each of them at the end. Unfortunately, my printer ran out of ink halfway through doing my test sheet here, and so I had to hand write all the names in. So I hope you can read my writing. I've printed this swatch sheet out on Nina vellum, which is 67 by 147 grams, and it's a very toothy paper. And the reason I chose a toothy paper was because I knew the colouring books that I'd be testing these pencils in were all basically smooth papered, and so I wanted to see how they would work on a toothier paper. You'll see that the colours are actually really vibrant, and what I'm doing is on the left hand side I'm doing firm pressure and a number of layers, and then I'm just tapering out to a single layer of colour on the right hand side of the spear so that you can see how they look at different layering stages. Now I've used these pencils for a few years now, not exclusively, but they don't seem to develop a wax bloom on them, which is a good thing. So I'm never sort of brushing wax dust off when I use them. But they do have some negatives, and one of the negatives is, first of all, they have a very limited colour range. Only 24 pencils plus the gold and silver in the Woodless brand, so there's a limited colour range. The other issue that I'm not a fan of is that there isn't any open stock available for individual pencils, so if you use up more of one colour than another, you're going to have to buy a set, and the smallest set being 6 pencils, and they might not have the colour that you fancy in it. One of the other negatives is that because they're woodless, they don't actually have a timber casing, and you can feel like that they're going to easily break and crack. And also, if you're in extreme temperatures, there is a guideline from Koh-i-noor on what temperatures they become susceptible to problems. Now I live in a subtropical area and my pencils have been perfectly fine, and even when I lived in a colder area and still had the pencils, but I know around the world we all have different temperatures that we live in. Some people live in snow and freezing conditions, so they may make the pencil a little bit more brittle, and because they don't have that protective wood casing around them as most pencils do. The other thing is that when they fall off the desk or whatnot, that they might break because again they're not protected by that wood casing. So I was always very careful with my pencils to make sure that I didn't slam them around and whatnot, but they actually have fallen off the table before and they haven't broken. And I've transported them, 600 odd kilometers and moved them around and all the rest of them and thrown them in storage and retrieved them, and they've been perfectly fine. But just bear it in mind that they don't have that casing, so they could be more susceptible. Now, what's the positives? Well, first of all, they've got a great range of colours in them for what they've got, and often we think that we need more pencils than we actually do, because usually you can just blend the colours together, and sometimes having a limited choice is often better because then you don't have to think so much about your colour choices. You just use what you have. The other great thing is because they're all pigment, they're going to last you longer than a pencil in a barrel. So they're going to last you a lot longer, and they are just full of pigment, so you're not wasting anything. You can also use those pencil shavings to smudge in backgrounds and whatever if you like. They are super easy to sharpen, they erase really well, and they're very smooth and easy to blend, especially in books that have the thinner paper, like the Create Space colouring books. So I'll just show you the finished swatch sheet, and I've put in the ratings. If you can't see them, they'll be available on my blog as well. So your yellow and orange have a 4 and a 5-star rating. The Pyrrole red has 5. The Carmine red only has 3, same as the lavender violet and the cobalt blue. Whereas this sapphire blue, the meadow green, dark green are all at the highest light fast rating. Whereas these pinks and lilacs are actually quite low. And the black and white, grey, dark brown, reddish brown, pea green, yellowish green, they all have a high light fast rating. Now, one other thing that you will notice from the swatch sheet is that the barrel of the pencil, even though it's all pigment, it doesn't really match the colour. So some do more than others, but the light ochre is not really the same as that light ochre there. And it's probably the effect of that lacquer label that has been put on the pencil, or just really when it's actually being used, because looking at the tip on that, it does look a lot darker on the tip on the pencil than it does on the paper, or it could be the paper. The one I most notice it with is this Carmine red, because to me that looks like hot pink, but when you see it coloured, it's actually a red. And I'll just show you what the pencils look like barrel wise up against a Prismacolor and a Polychromo. Now with the Prismacolor, obviously they're encased in wood, same as Polychromo. With Prismacolor you can see how well the core is centered. The Polychromo you can't, because it has an end cap on it. Both of those pencils rely on the casing colour to indicate what the pigment colour is, but with the Koh-i-noor it's basically the whole pencil there. Now these are two new pencils, so you can see that the Koh-i-noor is slightly smaller than the other two, and it's more of the sizing of a Prismacolor than of a Polychromo, maybe in between the two of them. But it's a good weight, it doesn't feel uncomfortable in my hand. It feels more like a Prismacolor weight and comfort level to me. Take a look at how they perform on black paper. So I've got a Spectrum Noir little notebook here, or a little tiny colouring book. So let's just pick out a couple of colours and see what they look like. So yellow should go well. And it's coming up quite nicely there on the page. This one has a little embossed lines, so I can't go down and blend really easily because it's got those little lines in it. These are beautiful little notepads or note size colouring books. The orange and the yellow are coming up quite nicely on this coloured paper. Maybe we'll go purple. Purple is not showing up quite as well on this. So there we have it on black. So I might just try one of these little fishies from Hannah Lynn's book here. So I'm just going to do it in oranges. Now you can do a finer line just by turning the pencil around to your sharp point. Just going to add some more red over there. So it blends really easily. It doesn't feel too oily, but you can feel that they're very smooth and soft. Plus they're really easy to adjust your pressure on. So it's really easy to go from hard, like pressing down really hard, to just lightly pressing down. We'll do yellow, and they blend in so easily on this book. I'll be interested to see how they go with my other choices. We might just see how that white pencil performs. Actually, I'm not finding the white pencil to be that good. Maybe if I'd done lighter layers it would be working, but I'm not finding it that good. It doesn't surprise me. I very rarely like any white pencil except for my Prismacolor or Caran d'Ache. So that one again doesn't surprise me. We'll just try a bit of the black here. Now on first layer it's not really very black. I did have an underlay there of different colours. Coming through again, I'm pressing down harder, I'm getting actually some black happening there. Do his little eye again. I'm colouring from a distance again, so I'm probably out of the lines, but I think he blended really easily without any solvent or anything, and very easy to use on that paper. So let's try in a Japanese colouring book. This is a Rees colouring book. I previously used my Muji pencils in this one. So today I thought colour something small from this page. Maybe we'll go over here and colour going onto the paper very well. It actually seems to be going on a lot easier than the previous paper, and it's actually, I'm not pressing hard and more pigment is coming out. But on the previous paper it really blended in smoothly, and on this one I still feel that there's a bit of tooth. So we might get Mr. White. And this one has a overall more waxy feel to it than on the previous paper. But it's still fine, and I just need to remember how to use them with this book for next time. But I'm still happy with how easily they go on the paper. I still don't like the white pencil. It's probably just me. I am very fussy with my white pencils, but I didn't feel like that white pencil really did anything. I'll give it another shot. And again, I am sitting back from the page, so it's just not easy to reach over. But it is going on very well. I do wish there was more colours. It's very almost oily on this page. You really need to lessen your pressure because it really is going on so quickly and so much pigment coming out that you don't really allow yourself enough time to blend it. So I'll try again with that little pot and see if this time I can work it out a little better. It's going on very smoothly. I'm going to go very light here. So I think the secret might be more of a firmer pressure, but not too firm, because the light wasn't doing it for me. Yeah, so that is way better. Firmer pressure, but not really hard and grasping it. So that's our Erise book. And Magical Jungle by Joanna Basford. We'll try the pink and the purples. Go on very easily on this book, but again I need to make sure I don't get carried away. Now this is the UK edition of Magical Jungle, not the US. The paper is different in the books depending on what edition that you've got. I've put too much pink there. Never mind, we'll see if that white works. Yeah, I'm still not liking that white. I still don't think it's a very good white, and I'm pleased how it's going on in this book. I just need to refine what I'm doing with it. but it's very easy to do lines with them. I'll give this white another chance, and I'm liking it better when you're just using it to blend out the one colours there on the Joanna book. There we have it. In the range of colouring books that I've tried them on, they all work really well. The one that I had to adjust myself a bit was the Japanese colouring book by Ori. I think once I got used to using them in that on a test page, then it would work perfectly fine. Take a look at how they perform on black paper.